America's Army is the best trained, best equipped land force on the planet.
This is the Montana Veterans Show.
We will never, ever tolerate substandard care for our great veterans.
The Montana Veterans Show is dedicated to the American and Montana veteran and the issues that affect them. Online at MontanaVeteransShow.com and on News Talk 730 KYYA.
Those entrusted with the sacred duty of serving our veterans will be held accountable for the care they provide.
Now, Scott Fredericks.
And welcome to the Montana Veterans Show for this Thursday, March the 8th of 2018. In Veterans News, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, Dr. David Shulkin, has announced a new program aimed at veterans' mental health and reducing the number of veteran suicides. Speaking before the National Press Club, Dr. Shulkin said there's two factors that ensure a program's success.
The essential component, number one, is to have a good acronym. And HEAL, Commander, I mean, that is exactly what this program is intended to do, to heal our veterans. And so you got that right. And then, of course, number two is picking the right people to lead your initiatives. And you got that right as well.
A government investigation says Veterans Affairs Secretary David Shulkin took little or no action during the Obama administration to fix several long-standing problems at major veterans hospitals. Scott Carr has more.
The report blames failed leadership and a climate of complacency for inaction on equipment shortages, even dirty syringes that put patients at risk. The report paints a grim picture of communications breakdowns and spending waste, noting that at least 3 VA program offices directly under Shulkin's control knew about serious, persistent deficiencies, but did little or nothing to address them. Shulkin told government investigators he did not recall ever being notified of the problems. Scott Carr, Washington.
Two tanks nearly hit each other. Brian Bennett with that story for us this morning.
2 Montana Army National Guard tanks narrowly avoided a collision February 8th at an icy trail in the Limestone Hills training area near Townsend, and one rolled over. The Guard won't confirm the specifics of what happened, as the incident is under investigation. Those in the rollover escaped injury beyond some bumps and bruises.
And when we come back with the Montana Veterans Show, we're going to be talking with Charlie Daniels, songwriter, performer, about his special bond with the veterans as the Montana Veterans Show continues. And we're back with the Montana Veterans Show. Well, we had a chance to talk with Charlie Daniels, who has a string of hits. We talked to Charlie about his love for the veterans and why he does everything that he does to help our veterans out.
Well, first of all, my brand of patriotism, my honest, sure enough patriotism, goes back to my earliest remembrances. I remember the day Pearl Harbor was bombed. I was 5 years old. And I remember seeing the country go through a tremendous change, even at that young age. I grew up during those days. I saw farmers' sons and loggers and people go and volunteer for the armed forces. I saw the ladies go to work in the factories. I saw America as close to 100% patriotic as it possibly could be. And people in uniform were revered. Our veterans were revered when they came back. They were so respected, and they went and they won that war, and they came back, and America swung into the most prosperous time we had ever had. And, we owe the war. I don't know how much they teach in school nowadays about wars, but we could just as easily have lost that war. If Germany had gotten farther with their atomic bomb before we got into there to destroy it, if they had gotten instead of us getting it, there's a lot of ifs. There's a lot of God being with us and getting us through that war and helping our people to make the right decisions and giving us good military people to fight our wars, that we won that war. And we owe that, first of all, to the good Lord, and then to the people who went and fought that war. And it's that way. It was that way in 1941. It's that way now, that we owe those people who put those uniforms on and went and fought for us in those wars, in the Revolutionary War, in Vietnam, in the Second World War, the First World War, the wars that we've had recently in Iraq and Afghanistan, and everywhere in the world that they put that uniform on and pick up a gun and go and protect this nation. We owe them. We owe them big time. We can never do too much for them. And when they come back especially from battle zones. A lot of them, sometimes the transition is not so hard, and sometimes it's extremely difficult, and sometimes they have some very, very special needs that unfortunately are not addressed by our government. They kind of dropped the ball. Hopefully that's going to get back online before long. I don't know, but until they do, and even after they do, we as civilians should be mindful of the needs of our veterans. We started a organization called the Journey Home Foundation some years ago, and we tried to help fill in some of the gaps to help our veterans transition back into a civilian life from military life. And it manifests itself in a lot of different ways. Sometimes they need medical care, counseling. They need a place to get together with, for instance, in one of the local colleges, we helped establish a veteran center where the student population and the veteran student population can get together with people who understand each other rather than being in the regular population all day long. They can go in. It's kind of a respite, kind of a place for their refuge for them to go and be with other people and understand them. We have job placement there. We have teleconferencing. We have counseling. We have medical, whatever needs to be done, whatever we can do to try to help our veterans come back into civilian life. But that is one of the huge causes of my life is our veterans, and one of the things that I believe in with all my heart. So we try to address those needs as much as we can through our organization.
That was Charlie Daniels on the Montana Veterans Show. I'd like to thank all my guests, the sponsors, but like I say all the time, thank you to the American veteran.
The Montana Veterans Show is dedicated to the brave men and women who have sacrificed so much. For a podcast of the show, go to themontanaveteranshow.com. For information about this show or how to become an advertiser, email us at info@montanaveteranshow.com. Thank you for listening.